presentations. So please give him your full attention. He's going to present on Hellenism and Christianity, the intimate connection between the two.
Thank you, Father. Thank you all. As you probably saw, that's a photo from my yard, the snowdrops, and this is the mini daffodil, whatever it is. It's the beginning of spring, the change. So evangelismos, as we are celebrating the Annunciation, the literal word means the good news. Good, angelo means to announce. The announcement of the good news. And it was so chosen to match the spring, which is the good news, as you've probably seen in the yards. And at the same time, it coincided was coincident with the Greek Revolution, the beginning of the Greek Revolution. I don't know if you know the story of that. As we will discuss, I may disappoint some of you to tell you that this was all made up after the actual events. This actually never happened. We celebrate it, but never happened. But so that's the other good news, the blessing. But what about it? So let's get back to my last year's presentation. I want to check your grade books. My students got an 88% average in the midterm, so I want to see how well you are doing. So I'm going to review a little bit about the connection between Christianity and Hellenism. So quiz time. Are you ready? Grade books out. So what is the proper name of the country? Is it Greece? Is it Hellas? Is it Yunanistan? Republic of Pankratzi? Kingdom of Greece? What's the proper name? What's the proper name of the country?
Greece.
Actually, no. Second, Hellas.
Oh, but in Greek, yes, but.
So the proper name, I say the proper name. So actually the proper name, if you ever have a Greek passport, says Hellenic Republic.
Oh.
The Republic of Greece. But Greece is not the word that we actually use among ourselves. Greece was given to us by our conquerors.
Oh.
Romans and Turks, yes. Means Grekos means the subject nation. It's not our name. So as you can see, if you can read Hellas, it's the Anatolian Hellas. So the proper name is Hellas from the Hellenism. And let's go. So you learned something here. Yes. The real name of the country. So Hellenic is what it is to be Greek. And the Greek, the language, is Ellinika, meaning the language of the Greeks. Has been alive and in use almost with no change for more than, did I say 20, maybe 20? And even today, even in English, we use words that are Greek. Maybe we know, maybe we do not know, such as academy, grammar, syntax, telephone, microscope, pediatrics, ophthalmology, optometry, geography, ideal, idiot, and cosmos. And here's what I'm going to tell you. This is an actual engraving in Greek language, and I can read it. This was engraved 2,000 years ago, and I can read it. Υπέρ βασιλέως Πτολεμαίου, Caesar Βασιλίσης Αρσιλόης, Θεόν Φιλομάτωρος, Κόσμου Leona. So Cosmos, can you read Cosmos? Yeah. This goes engraved 2,000 years ago, and still the language is alive.
So what's the difference between Old Greek and
first of all, the Old Greeks all used uppercase. We didn't have lowercase, number one.
Okay, so that's old.
Yes,
okay.
As you can tell. They didn't space words.
Okay.
Yes, they didn't space words, so you have to be careful. So it's one word, Hyper, Basileos, Ptolemeu, 3 words. If you know how to read, you don't need spaces, but you know, kind of helps a little bit. So yes, the actual phonetics might have been a little bit different. We don't know that much, but the syntax has been the same, the words have been the same, and I will say more about this because it is important to understand that although the Greek language was not the only language, of course, used the alphabet, borrowed by and evolved from the Phoenicians, present-day Lebanon, later became also the basis for the Roman alphabet, and it was the language of scholarship and commerce for more than 2,000 years, why I say one, and even the Jewish Hebrew was transcribed into Greek by the around 2000 BC. The translation was called the Septuagint, meaning the translation from the 70 wise men. And this is what they're using, because back then the scrolls were scattered around with some versions, some different versions. So actually they wanted to establish a common reference, even for the Jewish religion, because we use the Old Testament as part of our religion too. So they translated that. So it is possibly, maybe along with Chinese versions of Chinese language, of course, consistently spoken, and for more than 3,000 years, 30 centuries. And we can be proud that the foundation, the language spoken by the apostles, the language that Christianity used to spread around the world was the Greek language. St. Paul was known to be preaching in Greek. The Gospels, the Acts of Apostles, the Epistles, Apocalypse was all written in Greek. And I don't know if you have seen the actual words. Here we are. Κατά Ιωάννη, according to John, Gospel starts with the words "Εν αρχή in ο λόγος." In the beginning there was the word, and ο λόγος. All this is Greek. The connection between the version of Greek there and today's is like Shakespeare English and today's English. So yes, it has been simplified, yes, it has influences, but it is the same language. And something which I, for the first time, heard when an American guy was getting married to a Greek lady in Greece, and they read Corinthians 13. And I have to tell you that I have never heard that before that wedding ceremony. So let's try to read this. Entes γλώσσες των ανθρώπων, within the language of people, la law, I speak, και των αγγέλων, αγάπην δεν έχω αγάπη. Same word. Love. Exactly same word. So, η αγάπη ουδέποτε εκπίπτει. Can you imagine that? The same words, yes, sure, yes, in a little bit more formal way, but it was something that I've heard for the first time. I say, I can understand everything it says. Where is this from? And then I figure out it was Corinthians 13. We don't read it in our Greek versions. I asked Father, we read another version of that. But it shows how simple, and something about Corinth. I don't know if you know what was Corinth back in the day. The Las Vegas, the sin city. Corinth was the Las Vegas of Greek antiquity. And he went there. St. Paul went exactly there to preach. He went right there, in the heart of the sinners. And he was so successful because he dared to go there. Corinth was the Las Vegas, and whatever happens in one of the places, maybe they say that, I do not know. But something even more surprising, I don't know if you have been to the Vatican, St. Peter's. Okay, if you have been to the Vatican, you think that because it's a Roman Catholic, they wouldn't like to have anything in Greek, right? Yet they do. They do. They do. And that's when I saw that, I was so surprised. And it saw, «Συ βόσκει στα αρνία, συ ποιμένη στα προβάτια Χριστού». And this is a photo that I took from the Vatican, which means you shepherd the sheep. And see, you are shepherding the sheep of God. That's the word. Προβάτια Χριστού. Sipimenis, your shepherd of the sheep of God. In Greek. In the heart of the Roman church. Okay? And that was so. Why Roman? Why Roman? Because yes, we had the language. Can you imagine traveling from Massachusetts to Rhode Island, and Rhode Island being at war with Massachusetts, or Connecticut? Yeah. And then you had to go through customs and security and pirates. And then between I-95 and 93, you have pirates attacking you. Would you be able to travel? No, you wouldn't. Right? So it goes almost like a perfect match. When did the Roman Empire became empire? 27 BC, August was the first emperor, 27 before Christ. Just when the Roman Empire, the entire Mediterranean was a lake of peace. Mare Nostrum, our sea. You could just take an Uber from Jerusalem to Rome easily. Back then you couldn't because it was war, right? It wasn't exactly, I mean, sure, yes, it helped for many 300 years. Both religions, well, Christianity was persecuted, was thought to be a Jewish rebel sect. They didn't like it, but then they realized that this is the religion that we must accept. So Constantine the Great made the acceptance, and he didn't make it the official language, but he made it the preferred religion. When he moved away from Rome, was in decline to get closer to the more promising lands of the East, and he founded Constantinople on the old ancient Greek city of Byzantium, hence the so-called Byzantine adjective there. It was always Roman Empire. What we call today Byzantine Empire was a term coined by scholars much later. To the very end, everyone there was styling himself Roman Emperor, really, even to the end. It was a Greek-speaking Roman Empire, a Christian Roman Empire, particularly after Theodosius, where it became the official language. And it is important, to understand that the Romans themselves called themselves Roman, styled themselves Emperor of Roman, spoke Greek. Heraclius is known to style themselves as, I read it in Greek and then I translate, Πιστός εν Χριστώ το Θεό βασιλεύς και αυτοκράτορ Ρωμαίων, meaning I am devoted to Christ, the King, the Lord, King of an Emperor of Romans. And it was clearly a connection between speaking Greek, believing and continuing the Roman tradition of governance, and being Orthodox. That's what the Roman Empire. It was later called Byzantine Empire, but it was always the Roman Empire. And this is probably the end between ancient Greece and modern, because ancient Greece was polytheistic, didn't have a universal appeal. The Roman Empire, as a Greek empire, was the beacon of progress, the beacon of power, the power, whatever is used today, was the Roman Empire back in the day. And it is important to note that the chief was the emperor. Many mosaics from Hagia Sophia, actually Dimitrios has brought us a lot of mosaics that show the beauty of the art in the Roman Empire. I keep calling it the Roman Empire. So what you see here, we see Justinian presenting God, the church of Hagia Sophia, and Constantine the Great presenting the city of Constantinople. You see the emperors straddling God and Virgin Mary. You don't see priests. Not that. If I ask any person who really knows theology and history, please name me a patriarch of Constantinople before 1453. Maybe they will come up with a name like John the Chrysostom, maybe a few of others, but we really do not know. They were not the prominent figures. The patriarch was not. It was the emperor, as it is shown here. And we can see here, this is again Constantinos Porphyrogenitus, the king, the emperor, and Augusta. Augusta was a title to the queen, his wife. And we can see Eusebestati, Augusta, Irene, and that's Vasilevs, Christos Vasilevs, Romeon, Constantinos. As you can see, we see the king, we see the queen, we don't see the patriarch. And this is a known, probably one of the last scripts from Constantine Paleologus, the last emperor of the Roman Empire, 14. And we see his seal, and together with Jesus Christ, he was the chief power. And what we really know is that the emperors, really had a vested interest in preserving the unity of the church. Simple logic. unity of the church means peace in the empire. It doesn't have to be anything.
George, can
really.
you please go back a second to the previous slide?
Yeah.
Just to show everybody that our bishops now wear what the emperors used to wear.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see how they're dressed?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Thank you. The emperor really had a vested interest in keeping the faith together, and it was not an easy task. Doctrines, questions about the purity of the faith, the creed, arose and divisions among the church. The emperor wanted none of that. So the emperor himself took charge of the unity of the church, and the emperor is known to convene the synods. The first, the second, after the seventh that we know, and they're all really wanted to have. So today, as I was reading, we're all reading the creed. At some point we say, "Και στο πνεύμα του Άγιον Κύριον Ζωιών." This is the second part that actually was formulated in the second synod. The first synod was all the way to the first part before the στο πνεύμα του Άγιον. So they really wanted to have. So we see the emperor surrounded by the bishops presenting the gospel, the creed. Πιστεύω εις έναν Θεόν, Πατέρα, Παντοκράτορα. So they really wanted a unity of the church. That was important. The Synod of Nicaea, really convened by Constantine the Great himself, who was not baptized until basically a few days before his death. So this why he was primus. He was still the polytheist emperor that all Roman emperors were, and he, despite that, he was really into. We really need to have ecumenical, meaning worldwide synod. Everybody attend, everybody obliged to follow. So the power relationships were clear. The emperor was the chief, wearing almost like our bishops today. That's Zoe we can read this. Zoe Efstati Augusta, wife of Augustus, which was a title style to the Roman emperors, right? So he was the boss. Even the Pope in Rome could not be officially Pope without the sanctioning of the emperor in Constantinople. He was such a power. All this until the sad day of the fall of Constantinople in May 29, 1453. That was the end. The last known emperor, Constantine Paleologos, became the marbled emperor because he came out to fight all alone. It wasn't easy. Fun fact, there was no bishop, patriarch at the time. The church was so divided between unity with the West and not unity with the West, that there was, at the time of the fall of Constantinople, there was no patriarch. Scholars left. They went to Italy. They started the Renaissance. Humanity, so much of what was culture and civilization started the Renaissance in the West. And we, at the beginning, really, we have names like Demetrius Kondylis, Georgios Gemistos, Argyropoulos, all these, particularly in Venice. So these are the names. And even El Greco, who started as a Byzantine agiographos, meaning he would do the church paintings. And he went to Spain where he developed, and this is his signature. He never said, "I am El Greco." El Greco was a nickname. Yeah. He always maintained, "My name is Dominikos Theotokopoulos." That's exactly how he signed every work of his. If you go to the National Gallery, pay attention, it says El Greco, the signature says Dominikos Theotokopoulos in Greek. Yeah. Although he was in Spain.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't say El Greco, it says Dominikos Theotokopoulos. It's important. And that to know that the language really kept us. Two things, Orthodoxy and the Greek language kept the spirit. Without that, we would have been dissolved, unknown, just a faint mention. Who remembers the Carthaginians now? Yeah, sure, yeah, they were beaten by Romans. Who is now? We don't really know, right? Even other peoples disappeared, really. Once defeated, disappeared. But we kept, for hundreds of years, 400 of years, we called ourselves Romni. Rome. The Turks continuously called the Greeks Rome. If you go to Istanbul, Constantinople, they don't call us Greeks, they call us Rome. They're Romans. That's how we were known. So, a new world order, a new sheriff in town. The Ottoman Empire, organized as a caliphate, meaning organized by on the basis of religion. They recognized Orthodox Muslim, Jewish and Armenian. I don't know why Armenian was not within the Orthodox. Don't ask me about that. That's what they decided. But they all had to report to the Sultan. So what happened is the Patriarch became the lion's den because he was responsible to keep the subjugated Orthodox quiet. Pay taxes, not to revolt, and oblige their supreme leader, the Sultan. So what happened is the Sultan needed a patriarch. The Sultan needed someone to lead the Greeks, to be responsive, because he realized there's no way, I don't even understand what they're saying. How can I have control over them? So he appointed, for the first time, let me go here, Gennadios Scholarius. He appointed him to be the first patriarch. And if you ask Greeks if they know any patriarch, they will answer two names, Gennadios and Grigorius. I'll tell you about Grigorius later. So who was Gennadios? He was a scholar. He was actually a monk. Just days before that, he was a monk. Very strong. He was the leader of opposition against unity with the West. And he was not even ordained priest. And in order to be patriarch, you need to have deacon, priest, bishop, and then patriarch, something like that. He was ordained in 2 days, all ranks. I don't know how quickly they did it. And Mohammed II, he gave him the rights and responsibility to keep the Greeks quiet. Now, do they need the leader? Do they need someone to unite? Yes. Not an easy role, really. So, were there big political calculations involved? Yes, for sure. Do you really accept the authority? The reality is yes, there's no other authority there. I need someone to keep persecuted Greeks, Orthodox, the Christians, under some sort of having the sense of. So, this says, εγώ πατριάρχης έχων πανά τα προνόμια των Ρωμαίων. So that was a symbol. Actually, Mohammed really wanted to make case that, okay, I slaughtered half of you. Now, the rest of you whom I have not slaughtered yet, you have a leader. That's the idea. Because someone needs to pay taxes. Someone needs to work the fields. Someone needs to populate the land, right? So this is Gennadios Scholarius from his resting place in Ceres. Outside Ceres, there is a monastery. I forget the name, but I've been there. And actually, that's a picture I took. And it says Gennadios Scholarius, Protos, first Patriarch of Constantinople, after after the fall, who kept the great church through authority given to him by Sultan Mehmed. And that's why he lived, whatever. That's a whole story. Because he was a monk, he wasn't really interested, but he had to. Someone had to take the unpleasant role of that. So, what is a patriarch today? What city? Athens? Rome? Where's the patriarch? Questions?
Constantinople.
In Constantinople. Why? Why is it there? Still there. Under Turkish occupation, right? Well, many questions arose. Should we move the patriarchate out of Constantinople, bring it where? To Athens, maybe? But back then, Greece was a small state, possibly not able, and would lose the universality, the appeal that we are the ecumenico patriarchio, meaning the ecumenical, the universal. Okay. So even seated within unfriendly, to say the least, city, which was named Constantinople all the way to 1922. People don't realize that the name of Constantinople was kept, even by the Ottoman Empire, The Sultan was in Constantinople, not in Istanbul. Istanbul was given by Ataturk after the 22, after the nationalization of Turkey. So it was Constantinople. Of course, we're not given Hagia Sophia. I think we changed 5 different churches before they settled in Agios Georgios. That's a patriarchal church in Constantinople. I believe it's the 5th. Probably Mr. Dimitrios can help me say if that's the correct number or not. It was not the first. Initially, what we used Apostolus, and then to a few others. So that is, and the name is Fener. If you're in sports, Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce is a famous football and basketball team. We beat Fenerbahce in the finals, European champions, Panathinaikos, yes. And Fenerbahce is a name. Fener means the Latin, Fanari. And Fanari is an important word for us because the Ottomans, by rule, I'm not quite sure, does the Quran say so? They were forbidden to do certain things, lend money, for example, borrow money, and learn foreign languages. I think it's somewhere it's written in the Quran. I'm not sure how strict they are, but there was a tendency among Ottomans not to know foreign languages. How can you have foreign policy without foreign speaking? So who were the leaders of the Department of State in the Ottoman Empire? The Greeks, the Panagiotes, the scholars who knew languages. So it wasn't only religion, it was also governance. And that's something we must understand, that the Patriarchate kept the unity of the nation and also was the civil authority. Civil in the sense that they could actually issue certificates, wedding certificates. That's a wedding certificate from Smyrni. I don't know if we can read this. It says the Hygerondia means the city council of the elders of Orthodox community of Smyrna. Certificate of marriage. This guy, I'm not even read it straight, father of the Holy Church of St. Nicholas, I certify, blah, 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 blah. So that's a certificate of marriage in Greek from Smyrni that was issued by authority. So yes, there was authority vested within the patriarch. Authority that came with some dealings under the table. A Greek word that we use is peskesi, means the greasing of the wheels, means the unethical donation, so to say. So peskes, is that right? Peskesi. Peskesi means, okay, my friend, some coffee for you. So it became a tradition, open tradition. So whoever wanted to become patriarch had to bring money to the Sultan. Oh yeah, that really sometimes borders with corruption, that is true. And not only that.
Same word in Romanian, because we had to deal with the Turks.
Yes, same thing, okay? So it wasn't only, so it wasn't an easy affair. Some of them were given the fair trial after they were hanged. 7 patriarchs, 7 were executed by the Ottomans. Lucaris, Kondaris, Parthenios, Meletios. I'm coming to Gregory V because it relates to our struggle for independence. Probably, if you remember from last year, I spoke a lot and extensively about Philiki Eteria, the Society of Friends, the underground movement that united the Greeks in preparation for the struggle. No one knows who the supreme leader was. They kept saying the aoratos archi, meaning the invisible authority, implying that it was either the Tsar or the Patriarch. They never disclosed who he was. But it is true that through churches, through gospels, the priest would say something allegorical to and preparing for, and the priest would give the oath, would administer the oath to those inducted into the society, because the dream for liberation was kept alive via the language and the church, and we must never, ever forget that, through orthodoxy. Language and orthodoxy was what kept us alive as a nation. We're in debt. We wouldn't be the nation we are. So that's the Society of Friends, and it was not an easy affair. Europe was under the dark veil of an iron curtain all over Europe by the conservative powers led by Austrian Minister Metternich, was the Henry Kissinger of the day. Metternich was the Henry Kissinger of the day, making sure that no one will ever rise and disturb the peace of the kingdoms in Europe. Can you imagine? Then these crazy Greeks came and say, no, we are going to celebrate, we're going to resurrect, no more, we're going freedom or death. Give me liberty or give me death. Which time? Which motto was shared by American and Greek revolutions? United we stand, don't threaten me, give me liberty or give me death, e pluribus unum or damned torpedoes. Give me liberty, and I think New Hampshire stole it from us.
Right.
Right? So yes, we did. So where was the church? Was the church active? The answer is yes and no. Priests, bishops were humans. Some of them were comfortable being the authority. The revolution was going to change. So it was not exactly straightforward. Yes, many known names. The most martyric one was Patriarch Gregory V. He was rumored to be the leader of Philiki area. Was rumored. He definitely was in support of Greeks, and he had to, given the ultimatum by the Sultan, you either excommunicate the rebels or chop, or I'm going to murder the Greeks in Constantinople. Imagine that, having to make such a decision. Save the people in Constantinople or excommunicate the rebels. He did. Under certain duress, I'm sure, unimaginable. And a few days later, the Sultan realized that he was still supporting the Greeks as he was always doing. And he gave him a fair trial only after the hanging in the front gate of the Patriarch. This gate is closed forever because of martyrdom, never to be opened again. And every April 10th, the Patriarch lights a candle in the memory. So yes, it was not an easy relationship. The church had to support, had to be the sole where we're grasping for our continuing survival and pay the price. There was some unnecessary myths, which I'm going to give you some examples. We really didn't need to invent those. There's a well-spoken myth about the Krifos Scholion, meaning the secret school. No, not really. Was there where they say that the Greeks were forbidden from learning the language and study, and they were sent secretly to the monasteries to learn? No, that's not really true. It is well known that there were schools in many occupied lands of Greek language. So I don't know why we needed to have that, or why we even needed to have this. So here's the story. There was never a proclamation on the 25th in a Yela. We say so, it never happened. Actually, Παλαιόν Πατρών Γερμανός was against the revolution. It's known that he was not supporting the revolution. And the myth says that on that day he raised the flag and he had the rebels say all this oath. This was a painting in the National Gallery in Athens, Greece, of an event that never happened. And this is the banner that we say he raised, that was never raised. The banner was constructed years later, just to commemorate. Now, why we needed that, I don't know. But anyway, these are the facts. And we celebrate certain things that didn't happen. But truth to be told is that yes, many clerics gave their lives to independence. Many priests, many bishops, many low or high-ranking clergy supported the revolution. Some of them gave their lives. And prime example is Papa Blesius, who was a monk, priest. That's his full name, Georgios Dimitrios Dikeos Blesius, who picked up arms and fought and gave his life in Maniaki, knowing that he would be defeated because he only had 300 soldiers against an invading army of Ibrahim Pasha from Egypt of 20,000. Fully trained, fully equipped, and he gave his life. Many, many priests, Diakos, I forgot to mention him, also another priest, many, many of the clergy gave their lives and were eternally thankful for many reasons. Now, in the end, we had a constitution. Surprisingly, it was the first liberal constitution in Europe. Back then, we were way too liberal. We said all people are equal. Ouch, right? Who said that? The Americans and the French said that before. No one else had said that. Until then, it was, I am the God sent here, so I am the emperor here sent by the God, and I rule without any objections. And I can do anything I want. I can even dismantle the Department of Education if I want to, because I'm sent by God. That's what they said, the emperors back in the day. So, what the Constitution said, in the name of Holy and Indivisible Trinity. That's the first script in our Constitution. I will read you the whole thing. In Greek, εν ονόματι της Αγίας και αδιαιρέτου Τριάδος, in the name of the Holy and Indivisible Trinity, the Greek nation, under the terrible Ottoman dynasty, unable to bear the heavy and unprecedented yoke of tyranny, and having renounced it with great sacrifices, proclaims today, through its legitimate representatives in a national assembly, assembled before God and men, its political existence and independence. And the first liberal constitution in Europe. And we today, even every constitution ever since, starts with these words, in the name of the Holy and Indivisible Trinity. We keep that. And we even translated that. We sent a copy to Monroe, the president of the day in the US. And we tried to succeed in the end, thanks to a 10-year bloody struggle, details of which will be in my next presentation a year from now. We'll talk to you exactly what happened during the struggle. And we are celebrating our nation, alas, a free state, started in 1832. So long live peace, Zitoyelas. Thank you.
Isn't it funny that the first nation to recognize Greece is no longer a nation today?
Why? Haiti is not a nation?
Well, it's part of the U.S. now.
Haiti? No. Haiti.
Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry. No, I thought it was the other islands.
Puerto Rico, no, the other part of the island. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, Haiti, and actually Haiti sent volunteers. They sent volunteers that never made it. The ship sank in the Atlantic. The poor nation of Haiti. Yeah.
No question. In the southern Italy, I've been there a couple times. There's a lot of Greek people now. All the streets are Greek. They talk a different dialect.
Yes, it's called Gregarica.
I can hardly understand them.
Yes. Even I cannot understand much of that. It's a mix. It's heavy dialect Italian. It's Greek with strong Italian dialect. Yes. You really need to carefully listen. Yes, the roots are Greek, that's for sure. It's called Gregarica.
Right.
But yeah, it is there.
I'm so glad you brought up the connection with Haiti, George, and what a wonderful lecture. Thank you so much. With Haiti, it's a special thing because they were the first community and country to throw off slavery. And so there is that wonderful symbolic resonance. They did that in 1804. They repelled the French even after Napoleon invaded them. So there's that parallel with Ottoman rule. And then, as you said, recognize Greece in 1821. In the Maliotis Center at Holy Cross, there's a whole exhibit that's dedicated to this history, which is such a point of pride. Both the Greeks and the Phoenicians come there and they see this. When I was in Nafplio last year, there was a group of Greek alumni from Harvard, and I mentioned this when I spoke to them, and they were all extremely aware of it. This is something that's still known in Greece for years, and to this day sends aid to Haiti, and was especially important in the aid after the earthquake of 2010 to that special laws in the name of freedom, it still exists, and I'm so grateful that you raised that.
You seem to have a question, Alexander. No? Oh, say it, please. Oh, yes. So that's true. I didn't really speak much about exactly how the revolution evolved because it's a very, very, very big story. And I promise that's going to be my next years. So the revolution did not start in Greek proper. It started in what's today Romania, because some vassal states, not exactly Ottoman, not exactly under Russian protection. So there was something in between. So there was some buffer that the Ottomans couldn't invade without the permission from the Tsar. So that's where they started in Vlachia, Moldovlachia, and that was the first Alexander Sepsiladis when he called for independence in February. I don't know exact date. Shame, I don't know the exact date. Yes, he was blessed by the authorities there. Unfortunately, the Tsar did not keep his promise and allowed the Ottoman troops to invade and crush the independence there. But the flag was lit. That is true. Yeah.
What year was Kolokotronis, that famous general? What year was that guy? All this was going on.
No, Kolokotronis was the George Washington of the Greek Revolution. Yes, of course. Kolokotronis is for the Greek independence nation was what George Washington.
Like a general.
Yes, he was a rebel who was trained actually by the English against. So he had the rank of colonel, British Army. So he was trained, but he was very, very, what can I say, street smart. He knew how to use the forces because, you can only do certain things. In 1921, we started the first serious victory. Took place in December of 1822 in Germania, when he managed to succeed in crushing the Indian army. That happened, that was a serious victory in 1822. But there's some other developments, like the politicians of the day, like Protopodatos, were opposed him, they even threw him in jail, and then they took him out of jail when Ibrahim invaded. Anyway, it's not an easy story.
My wife's friend, half Greek, half Armenian. She's kind of related to that.
Let's give George a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Continue the informal conversation.
Τέλος κάποιος είχε τον πίνακα που είναι τα 4 μύθους.